Hey guys, I'm Rowan. I play keyboard in the band I Build the Sky, and I produce music as a solo artist under the name Rowan. Today I'm going to show you how I use the expressive Osmose for progressive metal music. As you can hear from the intro demo, the Osmose can sound amazing in a heavier, more aggressive style of music. And in this tutorial, I'm going to be going over pitch bending and how I do some cool little tricks to make it sound like a whammy pedal, for example. I'm also going to be showing you some gestures and how I go about writing riffs with them to make them more dynamically varied. And I'm also going to be going over a couple of factory presets and showing you how I change them and modify them within the Osmose to make them more suitable for metal and other heavier music. So let's get started with the pitch bending, because that's something that's a huge part of my playing. So on the Osmose, since you can bend on the keys themselves like this, but you've also got the pitch bend wheel here, or slider, or whatever you want to call this thing, that works as a traditional pitch bender. So I like to use both of these methods of bending together because that allows me to do double bends, and that's something that I showed in the intro demo. In one of the final runs, at the end of it, I had this big bend like this. And that obviously sounds super dramatic, and I love that for metal soloing in general. Another way that comes in really handy, having a keyboard that can also bend as well as the pitch bend wheel, is that you can use either or for vibrato while the other one does the actual bend. I might bend up with the keyboard like this, and then I'm gonna apply the vibrato to that. And I can control the speed and have like basically full control over the sound. Whereas on a traditional keyboard with just a pitch bend wheel, I would bend up to the target note, and then I would basically have to go flatter in sound, and it won't sound as nice as being able to go equally sharper and flatter like in the case of the Osmose. So usually I do have it set to these settings, 1 semitone on the keyboard and 2 semitones on the wheel, but I can go in and change the pitch bend range in the sensitivity tab anytime to, for example, 2 semitones, and now you get that more kind of bigger, slidey kind of movement that you would hear in like ethnic, like Indian music or something like that. And you can, of course, use double bending in this as well, and now you've got a range of 4 semitones like this. So that works really well for progressive metal. Of course, we're always infusing other kind of unique sounds within the genre. So having all of this at your fingertips to be able to make it sound more kind of Indian, or be able to change all these pitch bend ranges to suit whatever thing that you're playing, is super useful. But you can also go absolutely crazy with this. Like if I turn up the pitch bend range right up to like 24, I'm actually going to change a patch on this one. But if we turn up the pitch bend range to 24 semitones, then I can basically kind of emulate the effect of a whammy pedal on a guitar. And I'm running this patch through some pretty heavy distortion, but this is the sound that you get. So that sounds pretty cool, and you can get really filthy and create all kinds of effects with this kind of thing. That's a few ways that I love bending on the Osmose. It's super fun. You can do both subtle and absolutely ridiculous bending on the keyboard. So let's move on to the other part of this video, which is the different gestures that you can play with on the Osmose. So if I go on to the thump pluck preset, which was the preset that I used originally. So this is one of my favorite sounds to demonstrate just how much the sound can change by the way that you play it. Let's play some riffs. Anyway, I could keep going and just like string together as many riffs as I can and create a whole song. That's basically my point with this part of the video, is that you can use all these different gestures and create multiple different sections for a song. You can have the intro, and you can have a main riff of some kind. And the keyboard really reacts to the way you're playing. Like for example, since I've got a pressure glide thing going on here for one semitone, then this note is actually joined. So, and then you've got, again, a note that's not legato. So it just makes your riffs sound so much more lively. And that's something that I really want you to experiment with, is to try different pressure glide ranges, try different articulations on the Osmose, because each preset is gonna bring its own unique characteristics that are gonna appear in the way that you play. So let's take another look at yet another preset. And that's gonna be the Boreal lights. Where is that? There it is. So for example, this preset, it's not something that you would use in a heavy context. It is something you can use in a prog song as an intro or a little break, as an outro or something. This sound can sound like a little intimate kind of string section when you play it, just pressing and doing it a little bit of aftertouch. But when you strike it, again, just like the previous sound, it's gonna bring out a different kind of character that you can use for a slightly different section of the song. So definitely browse through the presets. It's gonna surprise you how many presets can actually work so well in a progressive rock, progressive metal, in a djent context for any heavier genre. One last thing that I want to talk about with the gestures is the aftertouch. So I'm gonna change sounds here. I'm gonna change the mood completely now from that kind of cute little proggy part to doomed lead. So this is a preset that I used in the intro demo. It's like a great example of how much the aftertouch actually affects the sound as well. If I just press the key, right, like normally, sounds like that. Very modulated, it sounds cool. Already, I mean, it's fit for a metal production, right? But if I dig really deep, it sounds like the keyboard's literally screaming. Like just that last note Like compare the difference between just pressing the key versus like digging into it for that aftertouch. Anyway, so that's perfect. And that's something that took me a little while to find on the Osmose, was that the way that you play can just change the sound so much that if you're just like scrolling through the preset, like this isn't something that's immediately gonna strike you like, holy shit, this sounds so amazing for metal. Especially when you hear the original factory preset that we are gonna be modifying in a sec. It's not gonna hit you as like, whoa, sick metal tone. Let's check out the original factory preset, right? It's this one. Originally, this is a pad sound. It sounds like this. That's a cool pad. Like I would honestly use that in like a metal song to layer as well. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I transformed that into the lead sound you heard earlier. So if I go into the macros here, you see all these settings, the cutoff, the drive, intervals, release, modulation, all that stuff. So let's get right to it and I'll show you my thought process behind it. First things first, I'm going to turn off the release because I obviously want it to be like a quick release. Almost gone. But there is also that note off macro, which I'm going to take off as well. And that's going to get rid of any sound after me releasing the key, except for the delay. Let's turn off the cutoff surely. Honestly, not too much though. Like that sounds fine. Drive can go all the way up. Yeah, the interval, I don't really like it when it's like all the way up. It just sounds way too sharp. Honestly, 0. And modulation, all the way up. And we literally have it right there. Like it's stupidly easy modifying that particular pad to make it sound like a Doom-esque lead sound. Actually, the last thing that I'm going to do is going to go into the voice section and going to turn up the pitch bend wheel all the way up. Because in this case, I don't want that all, you know, 1 semitone, 2 semitone stuff, but I want this to be basically like a whammy, like a super dramatic, like wow kind of thing. So that sounds cool now. Let's look at another sound. This is one that I've actually used on an upcoming release of mine, and originally it started off like this, Dirt Acid. Okay, so it sounds nothing like what I actually ended up with. That's why it's kind of funny. I'm gonna go into the synth section and we're gonna change this up, right? Okay, so shape. I actually like a little bit of the shape thing, because if I go all the way up, it sounds like too mellow, and that's not what I want. So, but a little bit, it's almost like it introduces like another oscillator, and like it just sounds a little bit thicker. Yeah, so I'll keep it somewhere around there. Resonance. It's up to your personal preference, but I personally don't think that it belongs in the riff that I wrote. And neither does the cutoff. Or not at least that much as we had before. That sounds cool. A bit more feedback, it does add a lot more aggression, and drive, yeah, that sounds cool. So I'm gonna go into the EQ now and let's put in a little bit of tilt towards the higher side because it's very bassy, right? And I'm gonna go into the comp and gain and turn up the pre-gain, turn down the post-gain by a lot. I ended up turning off the cutoff anyway. All right, so. And a little bit of resonance actually does sound cool. A bit less feedback actually does sound better. Cool. Let me make this a little bit more exaggerated. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you found this video helpful. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll more than happily answer any of them on my socials, and make sure you try out different combinations with the keyboard, with the pitch bend wheel. Try out different gestures, because you never know, a sound that you may really like is just waiting to be played differently. Make sure you're scrolling and trying out all different possible ways of playing the Osmose. Lastly, of course, enjoy modifying the sounds as well on the Osmose. I hope you found it helpful, seeing how I kind of go about achieving a heavier, more aggressive sound. And yeah, go crazy with it and have fun making music.